We're back. This is the first time that you and I have sat down to do this in many, many months, which is a recurring theme of conversation at the start of any of these mate-style chats. But good opportunity, Joey, to get back. We're missing our mate Foons.
Foons is not with us.
Not with us.
He's probably on Bondi Beach in some budgie smugglers getting a tan. And
I was going to say getting rescued.
Yeah, Foons has moved to Bondi. Life has lifed and we've found ourselves in different spaces, and probably explains why we haven't done this in a long time, because lots has been happening in your world.
Absolutely.
But let's not ignore the fact that we're sitting in some bean bags in a new environment.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, we're at my house. Why are we at my house today?
We're at your house because my house is part-time office during the day for everyone who lives there, and home at night.
So you're being courteous of your roommates.
But yeah, being courteous of the housemates, being courteous of the dogs because they like to bark and they don't like to do what they're told. So here we are.
Here we are.
Quiet surrounds of your little humble abode.
No, well, I'm excited to have you, and I'm excited to chat. I think you've had lots happening, and I feel like it'd be cool to take the opportunity to kind of semi-interview you today. And then when my interview skills start to fade, you can just jump in and rescue me.
I don't know about that, but I guess, yeah, this is fun because it's been, for listeners of the pod who will be hearing this or watching this, it's been a little while since I've released, and that's been because life has been busy. And as someone who prides themselves on a little bit of discipline and consistency with this, it's the first time I've really let go and taken my foot off the pedal for reasons to just enjoy and embrace some of the other things that have been happening in my life. And I think it's been good. It's been an opportunity to sort of realign where I'm going and what I want from this next phase of life, this next chapter, but also just to enjoy all the good that's happened the last couple of months. I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you? You're saying you haven't released in a long time. What have you've actively taken a step back, or it doesn't seem like you haven't been active from where I'm standing.
Yeah, it has. Like we got into a really good flow. For those of you who watch the show or watch the clips online, you'll see that the environment has been a studio for the last year or so. And that's because I've been recording in the studio, Mentored Studios up in Darlinghurst, Sydney, with Mark Boris's team of producers, which has been amazing for the show, being in the city hub of Sydney, where you have access to more guests who are either flying in to do, their thing for a little while and staying in the city, or guests who are in and around that area. It's a central point for me to get the best people on the show as consistently as possible. And that routine typically looks like once a week, I'll go up and record, anywhere between 1 and 3 chats in a day. And building that kind of routine and consistency I've really enjoyed. But there's taking the next step in life, and I feel like I'm being very elusive with what that is, because we'll talk about all of that today. But as you take the next step, and as you get a little bit older, and we're going to talk about that, like the cusp of 30 and a change that I feel in me internally and what I need to bring into my life and what maybe isn't as important to me anymore, is recognizing 2 things. And it's a bit of a duality that I love the art of doing this. When I say the art of doing this, I mean just sitting down with people and having conversations, I believe is really important. And it's given me so much value in my own life, being able to sit down and do something I'm passionate about, have meaningful conversations. It's connected me with so many beautiful people. But on the flip side of the coin, I'm recognizing how much of my time and energy is going into different things. And this is one of those things that is really important to me that I want to grow and continue to do. But in order to do that, it has to start making some kind of commercial sense, right? In which I need to start to see a path forward where this can grow and continue to elevate the other opportunities that are important to me as well. And so when you sit down and ask yourself, if I just love this, what does that look like? And if it was just for the love of it, which it partly is, well, I could just sit in my bedroom on Zoom and talk to people and release low quality visuals, no clips on social media, and just have conversations.
You could become a cam girl.
Cam boy. The cam boy of the podcast world, essentially. And, the truth of the matter is, that it's not that simple to me. Like, I want the conversations to be great. I want them to reach people. I want to be really proud and take pride in the work that I do, in the way that looks visually and is represented online, so that people get excited about it. I also recognize that to talk to some of the people I want to talk to, the show has to commercially make sense for them to come and spend the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you get to that next stage, you start to think about, okay, well, how do I dial up the numbers? How do I dial up the focus on what's going to get me to where I want to go?
Yep.
And so I think I was in such a routine with going up and just recording and releasing that I was recognizing a little bit of a halt in the progress. And I thought, you know what, I think I kind of need to stop just to reassess what direction this is headed in and how we take that to the next stage and how it will bleed into all these other exciting life changes and new avenues.
Well, it's the classic slow down to speed up, right? Like, we get in this routine, like you said, or this pace that is continual growth, continual progression, move forward. And maybe that's not the best way to get to our outcomes as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the off season, which is the most important part. Every professional athlete, every professional sporting team has an off season. So if we apply that to ourselves and considering this, podcasting as your professional life, it only makes sense that you have an off season.
Absolutely.
And that off season for the top pros isn't, I took a weekend off.
Yeah.
It's, they'd get a couple months off.
Yeah.
And they let the body relax, they let the mind relax, they reassess, they reinvigorate, and then they go again. So, I think it's hard for the entrepreneur to maybe internalize that as being something that's productive. But it's something that I've definitely worked on in myself, is acknowledging that downtime and that rest and that refresh is probably more important than the active part for me. And I think that probably is the same for you.
Yeah, I'd agree. And probably an important truth that I've brushed over a little bit too much in the past.
Yep.
There's a Japanese philosophy, I can't remember the Japanese name for it, but it's essentially the sentiment that, if you're on the wrong train, better to get off quicker than later. Like, get off and change and get on the right track.
Yeah.
And I think that the only way to do that when you're in the madness of cycle and routine is to pause and have a look around.
Yeah. And we're off, ladies and gentlemen, already on our tangents, but This is what we do. So let's bring it back home and not fluff around. You are Mr. Drybra. You now have a Mrs. Drybra.
Yes, this is very true.
Brad and Soph got married. If you don't follow the socials, even if you do follow the socials, Jesse and I were at home. This was an overseas wedding. Jesse and I were at home watching the socials closely, trying to get a sniff of what is happening and the photos and the content. And it felt like a Netflix series that was releasing an episode every 2 weeks. And I'm like, I need to see more. I've seen more. It looked like the most beautiful wedding ever. It looked like you guys had the experience that you deserve. And I say that because I know the people that you are, and I know the obstacles that you overcame to be able to even get to the wedding overseas. But to hear how successful it was, and we'll talk about that now, is amazing. So you got married.
Thank you. Yeah, it was the
Talk
best.
about it. For the people that don't know, where'd you get married? When did you get married? Yeah, let's hear about it.
Well, for the people listening and watching, you may have heard Joey talk about him and Jesse sitting at home watching it from the screen.
Yes.
Which may beg the question, why aren't best friends of yours at your wedding? Which I think is a very fair question. And the answer to that is... I wasn't
going to bring it up, but here we are.
The answer to that question is we thought a lot about, it's a major life step, right? And something we were both very excited about. And marriage and the sentiment of marriage is something that people either agree or disagree on or don't seem too fussed about. For us personally, it's something we were really excited about. But as we sat down at that stage of our life, post-engagement, we started to think about one of the harsh truths of life, which is you can do anything you want, but you can't do it all at once. And we're in a season of life where we're excited about family in the future, having kids of our own. And there's a little bit of an extra commitment that comes with that because of my CF, or we have to utilize IVF as the route to kids. We understand that comes with investment of time, potentially some funds and resources there as well. We also wanted to travel before we took the opportunity to set roots a little bit and have a family. Not to say that we won't aim to try and do that when we do finally have kids, but it's something that we wanted to experience together first without any other responsibilities. And we wanted to have a wedding. And, we'd like to have a house and, one day some nice cars, and we'd like to, have a property, and like all of those things cost money, right? So, when you realize that you can't do it all, you start to think about what do we want this to look like for us? And we had kind of come to the conclusion in the early stages of our planning that maybe we would have a really intimate wedding lunch or dinner with our family, and then we'd fly overseas and kind of do a bit of an elopement, like have a nice photo shoot together and go enjoy a really nice honeymoon traveling around Europe. And Soph had never been to Europe before. I've been blessed enough to go twice with family, and so that's where we wanted to go and spend that time. And as we were sort of planning through that, our whole family had been tossing up this idea of, hey, we all kind of want to travel this year. Let's see if we can get over to Europe, and God, it would be great if we cross paths, and we're having those kind of conversations. And Soph come up with a bold idea. Why don't we see if everyone wants to meet us somewhere in Europe, and we'll do a really intimate ceremony with our family and then have a beautiful honeymoon. And me, usually being the optimist, was a little bit pessimistic. I was like, I don't know, is that a little bit too much to ask that people come to a destination that we choose? And Soph's like, hey, you're being a pessimist. Let's just ask. And so we did, and everyone was immediately in. And so all of a sudden, we had landed on, through, a process of planning and time that was hugely Soph's responsibility. We landed on a beautiful venue in the south of France on the Riviera, and all of our family were going to be first-time travelers, as were we, to Nice, in that beautiful part of the world. And so it became this really exciting experience that we had locked in and ready to go. And it was very intimate. So being just the two of us, our parents, siblings, and their partners, one of the things that, as I said, everyone wants to do their wedding differently. So this is not my playbook for how you should get married. But one thing that we picked up, every couple that we knew who had done it before and had been married and had that experience, all said one thing to us. They all said, enjoy the moment and be present, because it passes so quick, and you spend a whole lot of your day trying to see and get around to everyone that you don't really remember to take time for yourself. And because of the fact that we'd come up with this idea to have it really intimate and just be our immediate family, we decided, let's make sure that every part of the day, outside of the little bit where we go and get our portraits done, is about us being really present together and enjoying time with our people. We recognised how lucky we were that we were going to have our families together on the other side of the world to experience this all. And for me, getting married and having a wedding was about really sharing the sentiment of what we mean to each other with the people that we love. And being able to, say some really intimate vows and share that whole day with our family. And it was amazing. It was the best time. We had a couple days in Nice before our families flew in, and we all spent the 2 nights before the wedding together, and we all, had some activities and fun things that we caught up to do. But the wedding day was just magic. It was the first time we'd ever been to the venue, which was the Grand Hotel de Cap Ferret it's in Saint-Jean Cap Ferret, which is just between Nice and Monaco. And it was just stunning. It was sensational, and it was a really special day. I had probably 4 or 5 hours to myself before the wedding. So Soph, her sisters and mum went out to the venue early to get ready and do their thing. And I waited at the hotel for a couple of hours and just relaxed and had some time for me before the rest of our family head out there to the venue with myself. And as I was getting ready, thinking about the fact that, you know, there was a time in your life where you didn't think you'd have this. And now you're about to stand at the bottom of an aisle and watch your soon-to-be wife walk down towards you. And to think about how special that was, I just kept remembering what everyone said. Don't miss it. Be present. Be in the moment. And so I stood at the bottom of the aisle, our family there, this beautiful day, water's glistening behind me. And I spotted right up in the distance Soph and her dad ready to walk down the aisle. And La Vie en Rose, classic French love song, starts to play, which is her aisle song. And I immediately just turned around to the water away from everyone. I took 3 big deep breaths, closed my eyes, and I just went, all the planning's done. We're here now. Just enjoy it. And I turned around and I feel like I can remember every second of the day like it's a video playing back in my mind. It was just beautiful. She looked so gorgeous, beautiful in her dress. Soph done her own hair and makeup, which was part of necessity because of the madness of doing it all overseas. But also, it was very her. And it felt her. It felt very naturally Soph. And we loved it so much. We had the most amazing time, a beautiful ceremony, which was actually hosted by her dad, who was our celebrant, because we had to come back.
Her dad was your celebrant?
Yeah.
Why did I not know that?
So, well, part of it was...
That makes it even more intimate, personal.
Was. You know,
how good's that?
We would have had to jump through a few hurdles to sign everything overseas and make it official.
So is your marriage legitimate? Is he a real celebrant?
It will be in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we're doing
He's
all
not
that
just
stuff
like,
back at
I'll
home.
do it.
Yeah, nah.
How hard can it be, he said?
Well, he's not an official celebrant, right? But our thing was we could have had an official celebrant, but we still would have had to have it signed in Australia.
Right, okay.
And so we were like, hey, instead of getting some random French guy who's twisting the end of his moustache, I'm very much stereotyping here.
Doesn't sound half bad.
Yeah.
The movie you're painting already, I turned around, I looked at the ocean, I turned back to see my wife. There was a French celebrant next to me twisting his moustache. Like, it would make sense.
But get in his back pocket.
Yeah.
But we decided we wanted it to be someone that we loved and knew. And because it wasn't going to be legal on the day, we didn't have to do a lot of the riffraff that comes with making a marriage legally binding in the moment.
Right.
So our ceremony was very simple. It was essentially about the vows, about sharing the love that we had with our family, about our 2 families being there together in the moment. And it was amazing. And as you know me, I'm one for a few tears. So, you know, the old tears rolling down the cheeks as Soph was saying her vows, which were beautiful.
Yep.
And, you know, post-ceremony, we had so much fun. We were so blessed that we had an amazing photo and video team that were over there to capture it all. And it really felt like that were flies on the wall. You know, outside of the hour and a bit where we went and done portraits in beautiful Paloma Beach as well as the venue that we're in, we really felt like they didn't take away or steal us from our people, which felt lovely. Like, we had a beautiful cocktail hour in the gardens of the venue with our family immediately after, which was really fun to just soak up all the love and excitement with them. And then instead of doing a traditional reception, one of the things that we'd thought about, we were like, you know, we're on the other side of the world with our people. We're all in this place for the first time. Let's just go out for dinner somewhere and book a venue, like book a dinner venue, book a table. We're lucky we found this beautiful restaurant in Nice called Gina, which is an Italian. So Nice was owned by the Italians in the 15th, 16th century. So a lot of their food in Nice, despite being a French city, is Italian inspired. A lot of their architecture and food. And so we had this beautiful custom Italian menu that the chef designed for us on the night. We had these gorgeous little place cards, a very funky restaurant, groovy music playing, awesome wait staff that were just super friendly and excited because they had, you know, bride and groom and their family in their restaurant on wedding night. And it was just so much fun. Like, I enjoyed it so much. And it was a really, really beautiful experience that I wish I could live all over again. But I feel like we made it ours. And that's probably the only piece of advice I've got for people is if you choose to get married and do a wedding, like, make it you. Like, I think there's all these expectations on what it should be.
Yep.
Like, the only thing it has to be is yours.
Well, I love that was your experience, and the fact that you can say that you remember in vivid detail the day is so special. So that's the what. The marriage, the wedding day, that's what happened. I'm pretty interested now in knowing what does a marriage mean to you? And this, take the question where you want to, but to be married means many different things to many different people. And we see that journey of marriage end up in a lot of different outcomes. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's what are the till death do us part. Sometimes it's till death do us part. Sometimes it's not till death. It's a year and a half later and it's all over. So don't let me put any bad juju on you. But what does it mean now?
Yeah,
what does marriage mean to you?
It's a great question. One of the things that people ask you as soon as you get married is, so does it feel different? Has anything changed? And the answer is no. Simply, it's no, right? So the reason it's no is because from the minute I met Soph, I treated her like she was my wife. Like I always gave as much love as I've had to give. I've always been as supportive and as kind and as loving and as generous as I can be. And she's been exactly the same to me. And so we've always had a beautiful relationship that won't be changed by, the change of her surname or the change of title. But what marriage is for me is it's the sentiment that you've shared that love intimately with the people that mean something to you. That your families have come together to say, hey, we're going to support each other for the rest of time. And I've been so blessed that Soph and I have two different experiences with this, right? So Soph's parents, who are amazing, that I love so dearly, are still married and have been for a long time. My parents, who are amazing, who I love so dearly, have been divorced for 13 years, but had an amazing marriage when their marriage was together. And whilst I plan to be with Soph for the rest of my life, and as she does with me, you learn lessons from those experiences of the past. And what you hope to take into this next chapter of your life is the lessons that allow love to continue to flourish and grow for the rest of time. And for me, what does marriage mean? Well, it's just a sentiment between you and your partner. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's different for everyone. And for me, it's just it's a binding love to each other that no matter what happens in life, we will figure this out together. That we're a team now.
Yep.
And we were before, but we've just shared that more openly with our people. It's the same reason you commit to anything, right? You commit to something because you want to see it go the distance, right? Like commitment is important, I believe, in any aspect of life, and it's no different in love. Yeah. And, it doesn't mean that you're going to be without challenges. I think anyone who's married can tell you that that's certainly not the case. But for me, it feels special and, silly enough as it sounds, because this is not typically a guy thing to do. But I wear a ring. I like it. I'm proud of it. And I find myself kind of flashing my ring when I go places.
That's not a guy thing to do?
I don't feel like it is. I feel like it's typically a characteristic of female where, a lot of men wear rings, but a lot of men won't. Like, girls usually show off the ring because it's, there's a few more diamonds on it or whatever. My ring's a plain gold band. I feel like this is what suited me the most when I tried a bunch of rings on.
Sure.
But I find myself like kind of trying to put it in people's eyesight, so they ask me about it because I'm proud that I've married the person I love.
Of course.
I'm proud of the relationship that I have.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's all the excitement and novelty that comes with it too, which is really fun. And I feel like, you can dress it up because it is serious and there's really important sentiments there, but you're also allowed to enjoy it. And I think we forget that, right? Like a lot of the modern conversations around the necessity or lack their necessity of it. For me, it's like it's also a beautiful experience that we've got that amazing memory with our families. We've had that experience together where we stood in front of each other, in front of our people, and shared with each other very intimate words about what we mean to each other and what our relationship means. But we also have these rings on our finger where we get to say to people, hey, I'm proud of the person that I love.
Yep.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah. I think it's so cool for us as young men to be able to share a conversation like this because it is it is not a typical conversation that young guys will talk about, which is, what does marriage mean to you? Because if you kind of look at the Three Mates series, I like to look at it as a really honest and open interpretation of what it means to be healthy, productive young men of integrity. And we speak about identity, we speak about masculinity, we speak about health. We have touched on love, we haven't really touched on marriage, because nor Foon, myself, or you, up until now, have had that experience. So I think this is really cool for people who are maybe in a stage in their relationship that might not have the friends group or the platform of men to say, what is marriage to you? You know, what is this? How can I help create my own idea of what a marriage is for me? And until you have conversations with people who are married and get their experiences, it might be this big scary thing that might actually, for a lot of young men, create a fear and a fear of commitment, of what you need to be, or what marriage needs to be, or how the wedding should be, or all of these kind of preconceived ideas around how a married man and a married woman need to operate. So I love that you said for the wedding day, make it your own, and that even for the idea of marriage itself is that it's a shared sentiment between you and Soph. It's so interesting because in my background, and as people who have listened to the Three Mate series know, I have a single mother household. That was my upbringing growing up. So I've never seen marriage modeled successfully to me. So naturally, I don't have this grand idea of the necessity of marriage, because I've seen love, I've seen happiness, and it's existed without the need to be married. And so that's kind of created my view around what the necessity for a marriage is. And I'm in a loving partnership now with my partner, Jesse. And without a marriage, I think I'm almost echoing the same values as you around it, is that it's a union. It's Absolutely. A commitment. It's an ongoing commitment to each other. That it's hand in hand, walking this journey together through the challenges and the obstacles. And sometimes even in the lack of love or the lack of like. You might be like, man, I really am struggling in this portion right now, but I am committed to you and I am committed to us. And my ego might be wanting me to throw in the towel or whatever it might be. I've heard people speak about this. And I've heard them speak about it, especially when kids come along. Yeah. Because you have this beautiful pocket where you get, like in an ideal sense, you get married, you have this beautiful pocket of you and your wife entering the world together in union. And then you introduce family, introduce kids. And no longer is it just you and your wife anymore. And it creates this dynamic of, wow, our connection is being challenged now because our time and energy is being consumed by these little humans that we're developing. And so then it creates this like illusion that there's a lack of love. Our relationship isn't as strong because we're not just you and I anymore. It's our family. So I think I've heard people, and this has been really refreshing for me to hear, I've heard people speak about there's a pocket where they were kind of distant in relationship, but they were committed to the family. They were committed to the values that the family unit was holding. And then when the kids grew up, they found a second wind for their relationship. As an older couple, they found a second wind to be like, we can get back to us now. And I think that's really interesting to think of that as how a potential marriage journey could be mapped out, where it isn't linear. It isn't just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's challenged and it's obstacles, but it's commitment.
It's really interesting, right? So I've been thinking about this a lot because it's been a recent experience, and I love what you echoed, the sentiment of all of those things that I just described and what you value about a marriage, you value just in your relationship now. Because it was the same for me. And I think that it's really important to say that I don't think everyone needs to get married. I think if it's not on your list of things that you want to do, and I say that with a certain novelty, if it's not something that either of you think, oh, we want to go down that path and have a wedding, I don't think you have to. I think you can embody all of the great characteristics of a marriage without it, but you can also embrace it and enjoy it too, which is what we did.
Of course.
But I look at my parents, so speaking of those examples, and I think about how, like, I've always been in such admiration of the job that my parents did for my sister and I. But as you get older and you appreciate what it takes with the stresses of life that are already on your shoulders and the responsibilities you feel, and I know you feel the same way about your mum, you just have more and more admiration that grows for the way that they were. And as I look back at that, the one thing that I recognize is my parents really didn't do a lot for them. And so maybe that's a lesson that I need to learn, that I need to be a little bit balanced. You want to be the best parent you can be, but you also have to not forget that you're a husband and that you have a wife and that you need a little bit of time for you. You need a date night every now and then. You need to be able to, maybe wake up one morning and the kids are with their grandparents and you get to just embrace each other. And so you learn those lessons and, you just hope that you have the presence to utilize those lessons in your relationship as it grows. And, I'm still a work in progress, man. I've got so much to learn and, so much as a person that I can better myself with. And, I'm sometimes easily frustrated and a little bit tightly wound because I do put a lot on my plate. But Soph's been an amazing balance, and it's been, I will tell you one thing that's changed. A change in me personally, which has been a unique experience. So I was mentioning to you off camera before, nothing to do with my CF or nothing super serious, but just like a few health concerns lately that have been, on one sense, a little bit humbling and have encouraged a little bit of vulnerability. And in another sense, a little bit worrying because, you get to a stage of your life where, when you got 4 major diagnoses like me, CF, liver disease, diabetes, and portal hypertension, you start to think about trying to future-proof yourself, right? You want to be as healthy as you can for as long as you can to enjoy as much quality of life, doing the things you love with the people you love. And just these few very minor, but times concerning health things that have come up recently brought out a little bit of a fragility in me that I haven't really experienced before. And I was asking myself why. I was talking to my dad about this on the phone. For the first time in my life, I feel as though I have everything to lose. I've always had a lot of good in my life, but I'm finally at a place where I married the woman of my dreams. I have a beautiful relationship with her. I have a lot of work, things that are really exciting for me, where I get to do many of the things that I love. And all of the opportunities ahead of me are so exciting, and I feel I've overcome so much in my health to be able to enjoy them, that just these few little things that popped up, like, is this going to be a major concern that I have to think about long term? Rattled me a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, well, I do have everything to lose. I'm in a place in my life where I feel like, and I don't want another setback. I don't want to have to contend with a few other things that potentially shorten my life or challenge my time with the people I love. And whilst it was a little bit of fragility and vulnerability I felt for a few days, I then recognized how much of a blessing that is, to feel as though you have everything to lose because you have so much good in your life, to feel as though all your chips are on the table and you're waiting on that next card to figure out whether you've got a hand to play with or not. And there's something beautiful about that I think is lost in the translation of a story like mine, where people talk about major health challenges of the past, is that people go, well, you were written off to have a very average life by all of your early doctors. and you were supposed to have a very short life, and so you're living on borrowed time and you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I'm like, nah, I have everything to lose. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so this chapter of my life and all of these great blessings have given me a new sense of my own vulnerability that has allowed me to really double down and see even more clearly than I could before just how lucky I am.
That's such a powerful insight, because I think people find themselves unable to get to that next level, which ultimately is gratitude, where it can be the miserable, depressive space of, well, I've got nothing to lose, therefore I've got nothing to live for. I've got nothing. I'm not happy with what's happening here. And so that sucks. And then there's the level of going, hey, well, I've got some really good things happening for me here. I've got some loving people in my life. I've got I've got a great career. I've got possessions, whatever it might be. Oh shit, I've got something to lose now. And scarcity and fear creeps in. But then the next level that you've just introduced, which I think is like a really powerful self-awareness tool, is, but how awesome is it that I've got stuff to lose?
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing, because then you can root back into gratitude that it's scary if I lose it. But can I dispel the fear and lean into the gratefulness of having those things? And I think it's one of those, it's almost like it's such a complex balance of going, I would be so afraid to lose this thing, but I am so glad that I have it. And
Absolutely.
I wouldn't give up the thing that I've got just to remove the fear of losing it. So it comes part and parcel. When you have amazing things in your life, you have to be able to sit with the fact that you're going to be afraid to lose those things. And that's polarity. That's polarity. You can't have one without the other. And I think once you accept the fact that having this thing comes with the fear of losing it, then you can contend with the ideas of going, well, how can I navigate that? Well, let me just double down on the fact that I'm grateful I've got it.
Absolutely. Let me play with a bit of a novel example here, which, I think will make sense, and you tell me if it doesn't. But when you think about a game of poker, as a game of poker goes on, what they call the blind, which is the bet that there's a small blind and a big blind. And as the game progresses, the blind gets bigger, which means the buy-in to the game is higher stakes. And so as you get further into the game, there's a lot more to lose by just partaking, but there's also a lot more to gain. So the stakes are higher, therefore the return is higher. A little bit of risk too. And I think it's very true of life that as you go through life and you gain great experiences, memories, moments, people, titles, opportunities, you're now pushing more and more chips into the middle just to participate. But the thing that I think is beautiful about that is with every choice you make, you have to recognize the sacrifices. So I've seen a guy who's a little bit younger than us recently talking about how you've got nothing to lose in chasing your dreams. And I'm like, oh, but actually you do. But here's the positive. When you chase your dreams, I can't just blindly chase the things I want to do from a career perspective anymore, because I've got people to care about. But I recognize that if I see that sacrifice and choose how to make strategic plays on the poker table, when I get the wins are higher value because I get to share them with the people that I love. And so I don't just blindly make decisions like a bull in a china shop anymore. I have to make smarter decisions. I have to be more calculated about the choices I make. But I think that's something that I think a younger side of us sees as potentially damaging or potentially limiting. I just see it as so valuable because I think you really figure out who you are and you really figure out what's important to you. And I think that the heights of my dreams are still very high. There's still great things I want to accomplish professionally. But I see that all of the levels that sit just below it now are also things to be really proud of, because I get to enjoy them and embrace them with people who are important to me, with my health intact. And so I think to suggest that you have nothing to lose is to believe that there is only one singular focus or one singular ideal of a perfect world for you. And so that's really exciting for me, that I feel like my world has opened up and success is so much bigger than one or a few things. So much more.
That idea of you've got nothing to lose is completely ignoring the idea of opportunity cost. Because you've always got something to lose. You can always be doing something different that would reap a different reward. But you need to understand the trade-off and be happy with the trade-off. I'll give a novel example. Jesse loves dogs. You know this. Jesse loves dogs. You love dogs. I don't mind dogs. But the trade-off of getting a dog and what that would mean for our life, to me, doesn't make sense. So sure, we could get a dog, but then we can't go away on weekends at the drop of a hat. Sure, we can get a dog, but then we can't eat out once a fortnight because our date night money is now dog food money and vet money and pet insurance money. Sure, we can do it, but there has to be a sacrifice. Is it worth it? Is the question. I think it's super important to not shy away from the fact that, like you said, taking calculated risks and decisions and sacrifices. It's something that I didn't really consider as a young man, and I guess it's maturity, is that I was just floating, happy to float through the world and take the world as it comes. And I think you can recognize, and we've all recognized, especially if you listen to our Life by Design episode, is that we've shifted as we've gotten older to go, oh no, I can create the life I want. Life won't happen to me. It will happen for me as a result of the decisions that I make. The decisions are, hey, can't wait to be a dad, but I can't have kids now. I need to make the correct decisions for my life so that I can set myself up best for when it is the right time to have kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I really want to go on that European 6-month holiday. But I can't do that now because I've also committed to building a business.
Yeah.
And so once you sit and stop and go, what do I want? And brain dump everything. I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to have a flourishing business. I want to have a dog. I want to have 2 dogs. I want to have a house. But I wouldn't mind sports cars as well. Cool. Chuck it out there. Dream. And now let's get real. Let's prioritize them. Which ones are the most important? And then from that priority list, understand that we may get to option 7, 8, 9, but let's just focus on 1 and 2 now. And to bring it back to your situation, I feel like that's maybe what's happened with your self-proclaimed hiatus from potting. You were getting married, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were moving back into the career of real estate to help fund the life that you're now creating. Something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Absolutely.
And so that's okay. Just acknowledging why things feel different or why certain things aren't moving at the pace they once were is because energy shifted for now. And where energy goes, attention flows, or whatever the saying is. You know, where you put your energy, that's what will grow. So,
interesting question I want to pose to you here. So I love what you're saying, because I think, you use the example of the dog. My rebuttal to you is you just haven't spent enough time with Barney yet. But one thing for us is that there was a period of contemplation before we got Barney. Is this a responsibility we're ready for?
Yeah.
And ultimately, we decided yes, and it's been an amazing decision for us. Like, it's one of the highlights of my day is he gets me up in the morning. I make him his breakfast at 5:30 in the morning, cheeky little bugger. And we go and we walk along the beach, and he swims in the water, and we walk in the sand. It's like the most relaxing and exciting part of my day is that morning. It makes me feel really good having someone to care for like that who fully needs us. You know what I mean? Without us, he doesn't eat.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about that responsibility, which makes sense for us at this point in time, because for us, kids are pretty high up on the priority list.
Mm-hmm.
We're mindful of the fact that, you know, we're an age where we feel like we're ready for that responsibility, whilst it'll be a sacrifice and there'll be changes that are made to our lifestyle. We don't have a completely polar lifestyle to the lifestyle of being parents. And I say that with a bit of sensitivity, because there'll be parents out there who are like, oh, you wait. I understand that, but we're not like out of the clubs on the weekend, and it's not like we feel like we're going to lose a lot of what we deem to be fun at the moment in the process of bringing kids into the world.
You bottle feed your dog. So
Yeah.
it's not too far of a jump to bottle feed a baby.
Yeah. I've got one of those, you know, on Meet the Fockers where he's got the mechanical tit for the cat. I've got the mechanical tit for Barney, but
Lord have mercy.
For us, having a dog was a responsibility that is different to kids, but it's a responsibility nonetheless.
It's a selfless responsibility.
We have to get up and we have to feed him, and we have to make sure that he gets time to be active and exercise.
Sure.
And we have to consider him when we make decisions. And we're blessed that we have, you know, family around who have dogs and love dogs. So we've, you know, like in the case where we went to Europe, we had grandparents who could look after him and other dogs that he could spend time with. And so, you know, we have some privileges. But the thing I love about it is when you're talking about the importance of those decisions and the value they hold, the value can change in time. So in 2 years' time, you and Jesse walking down the beach one morning, seeing Barney Boy bumping into us, or seeing a dog having fun splashing around in the water, all of a sudden may recognize that it is time for that now.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important for people to remember too, that, you know, the opportunity cost changes as you do, as your life does. But a question I want to ask you is based on something that I heard recently. And it's about this idea of, you know, the next stage of life for many people, which is becoming a parent.
Sure.
And I heard this fertility expert speaking about the fact that I believe it was men at 30 and women at 28 who were surveyed who said they wanted to have kids, that it was something they wanted to do. Of those people, only 50% of them ended up becoming parents over the course of the next 5 or 10 years. And I'm being very vague with the numbers here because I can't remember them. But it's that sentiment that at that age of around 30, where most people start to get serious about the idea of kids or family, whether it's in the next 5 or 10 years or whether they're ready for it right now, of those people who were surveyed, of which 100% said they wanted kids, only 50% of them ended up with kids.
Okay.
It's for a number of reasons. Either it was struggles with fertility, or it was they didn't eventually meet the right person to have kids with, or financially they didn't feel that they could provide. For whatever reason, I found that to be quite a stark contrast. You know, they really wanted this thing that most people eventually do.
Half of them,
right? Half of them didn't get it.
Actualized, wasn't realized. Yeah.
How does that settle for you? Because you're 2 years older than me.
I'm 31.
Like 31. I'm 29. Thinking about that next chapter of life, do you feel a timing pressure?
Great question, and those numbers kind of aren't surprising, because I feel like I've heard stuff around people getting married later or not getting married at all, or having children later or not having children at all. So it feels like that's kind of a conversation that society is having about, like, not everyone has to be married and have kids. I used to really struggle with the idea of having kids because I was in the wrong relationship. Previous relationships, are previous relationships for the fact that they weren't the right ones. I now think I'm in the right relationship. So I can settle into creating a picture that involves family because I'm convicted in knowing that the woman I'm with is capable of being a beautiful mother. So that was a shift that happened in me that, and I guess it's the product of your environment, is that when you're in a space, an environment, we kind of mold and justify potentially our ideas or our values to justify our position. So for example, if you're in the wrong relationship, I don't want kids. Internally, is that a justification because it's not safe for you to say, hey, I want kids, because I don't trust that this is the right environment for me to have kids in? Perhaps. Or maybe it's a deep-rooted thing where you just don't want to have kids. It's a personal question. For me, I threw away potential ideas because the environment that I was in didn't support that. I couldn't see it. You change your environment and then you sit with it and you go, wow, actually, you know what? I can see that for myself. I can see that for myself. And that's really awesome. Then fear creeps in. And I've had conversations with some friends of ours, Chris and Courtney. Courtney's heavily pregnant. She's probably due in about a week now. So having the conversation around kids and whilst I could go, hey, I'm in the right space. I trust that my woman would be the most amazing mother. She is fit to be the mother of my children. Tick. But then the fear of, do I want to bring children into this world? Assassinations, wars, the fear of an economic crash, the cost of living crisis, housing crisis. Maybe it's negligible for me to think that I should bring a child into this world because I'll be gone. But then the fear of AI overtaking, what world am I bringing this child into? That fear crept in, and I felt quite strongly about that. I thought, would love to, but the question mark is it actually fair? Is it a smart thing? The rebuttal that my friend Chris gave me, who's a soon-to-be father, said that's even more reason to have children, is not to waver to the fear, the chaos, the crisis, the evil out there in the world, but it is to do your part, your duty, to bring good, light, loving, compassionate, kind, and integral human beings into the world to combat that. The only way that you can create a better future for your children is to have children with values and ideas and love in their heart. That is the polar opposite to what we're afraid of. You can't go, I'm afraid of that thing, so I chuck my hands up in the air and I'm out of the game. That's not what a leader does.
Yeah.
That's not what someone who cares does. You have to fight for the good. And his response was quite compelling. He goes, it's our duty. It's our duty to bring good people into this world because otherwise it is shit. And I found that really, I'd never heard that argument before, and I'd never considered that argument because it didn't really support my view, I suppose, which is bringing kids into this world is not safe and it's not fair. And he's like, you got to do it. You got to do it, and you got to create loving, compassionate, kind human beings with strong values and integrity to make this world better. And I thought that was really powerful.
It's an amazing point, isn't it? And I love that. I'd echo a similar sentiment to that, and that's kind of how I feel about it. Because I guess if you look back at history, there's always something to worry about. Whether it's World War One or World War Two, or
World War Z,
yeah, or COVID, or climate change, or any of these what we deem as crises that we have to consider. It's like the only way that we change, man, is bring more intelligent, good people into the world that make a difference. But But it's also recognizing that, how much control do you think you have? Because, you know, my parents were going to bring 2 healthy kids into the world, and all of a sudden I was born with cystic fibrosis. And so the conversation of fair, well, what is fair? You know, because I believe that, yeah, maybe I was dealt a bit of a challenging hand, a little bit of bad luck to begin with, but I think most bad luck can eventually turn good. And I would like to think that despite some early challenges and difficulty, that my presence, I'd like to think I've made my little corner of the world a better place.
Yep.
So I love that sentiment. That's really nice.
Yeah, it was so solid. Yeah, this has been great to have this chat. And yeah, I think it'll be helpful for people to consider that, because I know I can't be the only guy that's like unsure about bringing kids into the world. But you can also be super negligible and go, she'll be right.
Yeah.
Just bring kids in. It's like, no. Like, make sure that you're also creating a foundation that because it's such a beautiful thing. And I've seen it. My 2 sisters have young boys. I've got a younger brother. He's 8 now. You've got to create a fucking environment that allows them to thrive and flourish. That's our duty and our responsibility. It's not, I want to have kids, so I'm going to have kids because I feel like having kids now because I'm bored or I'm lonely or I'm whatever. No, I do see that, and I can't be certain because I can't judge people's situations, but it sometimes seems like, it's the next thing to do. Yeah. It's like we get married and then then we have kids and then it's like, well, you need to think about these things. But yeah.
I think for the people who feel uncertainty, you can almost guarantee that part of that uncertainty is your willingness to challenge what is the status quo and also reflect on whether that's right for you or not. I don't think uncertainty or questions are a bad trait that we make them out to be. You know, society can say, if you're questioning yourself, well, there's self-doubt issues. We all question ourselves. Who doesn't question themselves? Who doesn't?
Here are the 3 reasons why you shouldn't have kids.
Yeah.
Are you unsure?
Yeah.
Do you ever get insecure? Yeah. Then you shouldn't, It's not that black and white, is it?
It's, I feel like life is complex, There's, life has a simple nature to it, but it has complex problems and questions to answer and solve along the way. And so I think part of that is just like a healthy, normal experience as a human being, in which I recognize there's still like a level of selfishness in me and a level of, I guess what you'd call, like, I'm very easy to frustrate. Right? I've got like a short fuse in the sense that sometimes I find myself wound up or frustrated because I pack so much responsibility into my life. And I'm like, it's something I have to get better at dealing with, because when kids come, there's going to be plenty of fuses to flick, and switches to flick. So it's all part of just developing as a person.
And maybe that's their purpose. The purpose is for them to be able to teach us how to deal with certain things, to gift us the opportunity to create these characteristics in ourselves. The classic, if you pray for patience, you don't get patience, you get the opportunity to be patient. Yeah. And what does that opportunity to be patient look like? I'm stuck at a red light, or things aren't going how I want them to go, or there's a big line up at the bank. And then you're like, you asked for the opportunity, you asked for patience, here's the opportunity to exercise that. So I feel like, kids will give us lots of opportunities to exercise the things we say we want. I want to be calm. Well, here's the opportunity to be calm. This kid just spilt spaghetti sauce on your brand new white shoes.
Yeah.
Be calm, bro.
How are you going to be about that?
Yeah, be calm. How are you going to deal with that? Anyways, moving on. What's next? What's next for you? I know, I know you got something in the works.
Yeah, it's funny, right? So the other day I was in conversation with someone, I can't remember who it was, and they asked me what was happening, and I said, I've just finished a book. And they were like, hold on, did I miss that? I didn't see you announce it. And I'm like, come to think of it, I kind of didn't. Like, I mentioned it in passing comment maybe once or twice with authors who have been on the show. But I haven't really announced the fact that I'm writing a book. Well, I've written a book. We're in the editing stage. The book will be on shelves June next year, I believe, so June 2026. And I'm very excited about it. It's an opportunity that I had played around with in the past and, thought when the time's right, I'll know. And journalist from Sydney by the name of Shannon Malloy, he came across a piece of writing I did, offered to connect me with Emma Nolan, publisher at Simon & Schuster, who are one of the big three globally and, major powerhouse here in Australia. And recognising how much of a giant Emma is in the space and how great she is at her work, I really wanted the opportunity to meet her. And, Simon & Schuster bought my idea and wanted to work with me. And so that's been really exciting. It's a memoir, so it essentially covers what I believe to be some of the significant moments in my life's journey. And it's very much a story that's just got the embedded lessons and insights that have been afforded to me. It's not self-help. It's not preachy. It's just me sharing my experience and my story and how that's unfolded. And I'm really proud of, what we've put on the page.
Nice.
The words on the page seem to resonate when I read them back. And I feel that, we've got a little bit of work to do, some edits ahead of us and making sure that structurally it's sound and, grammatically the editors are going to have plenty of work to do. I recognise that this was a task that I probably didn't give enough credit when I signed myself up for it, because it's a hefty responsibility to write a book.
Right.
But I'm very proud of it and very excited for what it means for the next chapter of career and life, because I believe that the experience is aligned with publishing a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
They're all things that I enjoy. It means getting on stage a little bit more. It means, having great conversations with new people and sharing different sides of me. But it also, I think, allows me to turn a page.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse
the pun.
Excuse the pun, in the sense that, I go on podcasts and I get asked a lot of the same questions because there's some significant life moments that seem to clip well.
Yeah.
And viewers and listeners seem to be engaged by some of those stories that I think, I'll have to share them a whole lot more over the course of the next coming year or two as I promote it. But I think once I get there, it allows me to not retire my story, but be excited about hey, let's learn some new lessons. Let's go out and have some new experiences that will afford me the things that I need for the next phase of my life.
It's also a super convenient way to avoid answering the same question. Just say, get my book. It's all in the book.
It's all in the book.
So tell me about your upbringing. Well, actually, I do have a book.
Yeah.
Next question. So what is it like living with CF? All in the book.
Well, you
Grab
got
the
your reading
book.
glasses?
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome, man. Well, don't let me peer pressure you into it or anything, but do we have a title or?
Yeah, so we have a proposed title, which I believe will be the title on the book. It's called I Wrote My Own Eulogy, which, is special because we're sitting here doing this podcast and it was the first ever Three Mates podcast.
Oh, wow.
That really thrust that idea into the world. Not to suggest that it was a completely new idea, but it was the way that we shared it and engaged in the conversation around the fragility and mortality of life as young men. And for me personally, the fragility and mortality of my experience with my conditions, that really an article off the back of that is what has springboarded me into this opportunity. And so, what I think could be the subtitle for the book is essentially that not every challenging life is a sad story. It really is a story of hope that, I think can be lost in the translation of hearing me speak about some of the significant health challenges that have been impressed upon me. And, ultimately I hope that people are, gripping the edge of their seat as they read some of the stories, because they're life experiences I had and things that I'm proud to have overcome. But ultimately what I want them to see at the end of the book is that, just because things are challenging right now doesn't mean they always will be. And, some of those challenges afford you incredible insights and opportunities in the future that is part of the reason I love and appreciate life the way that I do, is because of the experience of my health.
Yeah. Well, that is very exciting, man, and it's such a cool flex to be like author, speaker, podcaster, married man,
Yeah.
dog dad. Like,
Dog dad,
um,
Dog Dad goes at the front
oh,
of the
okay.
list.
Yeah,
I
list of
take that job
priorities.
seriously. But yeah, it's exciting,
That's
man.
cool,
But
man.
it I guess it encourages me to ask you a question around,
Sure.
next chapter of life and things you're excited for. Before we talk about some of the specifics of maybe exciting things that are a part of your world now, moving forward with some business changes, is there anything that's occupying your brain space? Like things that maybe are encouraging a little bit of worry or a little bit of uncertainty in your life, that when you look forward at this next stage of life and the future, you feel uncertain about?
Uncertainty, no. Occupying my brain space, yes. I'm excited. I'm very excited about the future. Loving relationship. Jesse and I are madly, deeply in love and we're just a great team. That's a tick. My health, blessed with great health. I've always had amazing health.
The pipes are looking a little bit thicker too. I noticed that today.
I've been
hence why the
working. I've
muscle
been
tee's
working.
on.
It's so many good things are going on for me, and I'm just excited. And I don't think they're all by accident. I do take credit for the fact that I make choices that allow me to go, hey, we're doing good. Just you speaking about things that are occupying my brain, I made a promise to myself at the start of this year that I'd go to Africa this year. I'd go back to Ghana. I'd visit the village that my dad and my auntie, who's the king and chief of the village we're from. And that was going to be basically now, end of September, October. And I'm not going this year. I've decided against it. I've created other goals that kind of made going to Ghana a little bit counterintuitive. Financial goals that didn't factor in going overseas. But I feel that similar yearning to go to Ghana that took me there the first time, which was enough talking, just go. So it does kind of, it weighs on me a little bit, the fact that I'm not going this year. And I'll say, we'll go next year. Next year we'll go. And I just feel like it's something I need to do.
What are you yearning for, you think?
Good question. I'm yearning for more understanding of that part of my culture, I suppose. And I say my culture, even saying my culture felt weird just then, because I don't know enough about it to claim it as my culture. Outwardly, externally, I'm an African Australian man. Internally, I'm an Australian man. So that disparity was bridged when I went to Ghana the last time, and I started to feel like I got the tiniest understanding of the second part of my heritage, which is my African side. So I spent 6 weeks in Ghana for the first time in my life as a late 20s year old man, and it felt like it was the thing that I needed to be doing. I told myself, this is my charity. This is what I want to do. I want to go back to Ghana. I want to go back to the village that my dad's from, and I want to help there. And I want to do this once a year. And this was the post-Ghana trip, like, excitement. COVID hit. 2-3 years of COVID uncertainty. Travel is off the cards. And then even getting back into Ghana with vaccinations and whatnot, it made it very easy for 2-3 years to go, all right, well, it's not my fault. I can't go. And then it's 2024, and now it's 2025. It's almost 2026, and there's nothing really stopping me from going, other than I just haven't bought the ticket and I haven't gone. So that's the thing that occupies a little bit of time on my brain. I think I need to invest more time in family as well. I think, again, what we said at the top of the episode, which is where we place our attention, where energy grows, where energy flows, that's what will grow. So business has been going really well. I've transitioned out of a creative duo and I'm back in the solo freelance world. So I've created a new brand with the same operations, same video production and directing services, but it's so exciting to have my own brand again. That's going well. Relationships going amazing. Jesse and I putting energy into that. It's growing. Family takes a third or a fourth seat. Like I said, health's going great. I'm making sure I'm staying fit, healthy, training, everything. And then family takes like a seat behind that. So it's kind of, something that I need to try to find a better balance with is putting energy into family and seeing my family that lives 10 minutes away from me once a fortnight does weigh on me as like I'm not present enough with my family. So those would be the two things that occupy my brain space. But generally, I'm super excited about the future. Yeah.
Is there a changing recognition and understanding of your capacity as you think you get older and have more life experience, that you don't always have time for everything and the struggle to want to be present in the things that are really important?
Absolutely. I heard someone say once that we overestimate our ability to do things, and in reality, high-performing people can probably only juggle 3 things at once. Call it business, relationship, health. Call it health, family, relationship. Call it friends. Like, friends isn't even in the mix there. Like, call it friends, business, and hobby. Like, when we start to add to our plate and think that we can achieve at a high level 4, 5, 6 different things, I notice that things start to not progress the way I'd like them to, and it's irritating. And you feel like you just got to do more. But maybe it is an understanding, like we said, there's a time and a place to put energy towards those things, and being okay with a certain aspect of your life not progressing because you're not putting the energy there. But that's the sacrifice you made because, hey, I'm going to take a back step off business because I'm going to put those chips into family. And being okay with that. I think that's the acknowledgement that I need to, that's the insight that I'd get from how things have played out for me, is that I can't do it all at a high level. And when I've tried to, you kind of just drop the ball a little bit across the board and nothing works perfectly. So yeah, like capacity for maybe 2 or 3 things at a high level is kind of what I've found for myself. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not doing the best job of that right now. I feel like I'm juggling too many balls and probably only reaching potential in a few of them, and maybe dropping a few others from time to time. And for me, it's been recognizing that I was very hard on myself about that for a while, but I've recognized, especially in the last 6 months, that there's a level of necessity to that at the moment, that maybe I do have to be a little bit more tired, and maybe I, whether it's the healthiest viewpoint or not, because I do aspire for a balance in my life. I feel best when I'm in a balance. But I will say there is a recognition that I think Chris Williamson said it once, that America was built on the back of men who slept 5 hours and smoked cigarettes. And like there is a little bit of truth to that. Like there is a time and a season, as you said, where things aren't exactly in flow. And right now, that for me is, real estate is how I pay my bills. The podcast is important to me because it's a passion. I speak when I get the opportunity to speak on stage, which is roughly 10, 15 times a year at the moment, hopefully a bit more in the future. But I've also just written a book. And part of the reason I had to go, hey, I'm just going to pause on the podcast for a minute is there was a final sprint finish to get the book done, and I got married. And for me, like, the most important thing is my relationship and my health. And so business kind of takes a third seat. But business is important because it sustains our livelihood. It allows me to tick off some of these goals and be excited about what's to come and have holidays and have a wedding and have all those things. And so, yeah, it's challenging, but I don't think it ever slows down. I was telling you before, I was listening to this entrepreneur, Daniel Priestley, talk about the last 7 years of his life and all of these phases in which he thought things would slow down and like he could take his foot off the pedal a bit. And I don't think it ever does. So my recognition has become, what are the things that I do in order to create a level of sustainability and restoration, have those restoration periods, but also to continue to enjoy and appreciate the process or the journey. As cliche as it sounds, like, you know, the beginning is the beginning. The end is hopefully far ahead of us. Like, you've got to enjoy this period in which you're working towards things. And so I'm trying to get better at like doing some of those little things that have helped me in the past. Like, I've been really good with getting back in the ocean every day.
Right. Okay.
Just relaxes me, man. I wasn't doing that for a long time.
Because it was winter.
Yeah, which is a
Convenient.
very you answer.
It's convenient.
But I was just telling myself I didn't have the
warm.
time for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't have the time to go get in the ocean for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, my life isn't that tight. I'm lying to myself if I say I can't go get in the ocean for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not going to happen every day, but if I can try to do that a couple times a week, I just feel better for it. If I can eat a little bit better, feel like my energy's better, I wake up a little bit sharper, I'm not lagging the first hour of the day, which means I enjoy my exercise a little bit more. It's all of those little changes, I think, that add up.
The micro decisions and the micro changes that add up. For me, I think navigating what we just spoke about, like having, not necessarily wanting it to slow down. I love the pace of my life. I love the fact that last night I was in Sydney filming an event, and then now I'm here shooting a podcast, and after this podcast I'll be editing a fashion commercial, and then tonight I'm going to have I love it. What I need to get better at is being present in each of them. So not having the tabs open, and that way there's more quality in a shorter amount of time, and it doesn't require me to spend more energy and time than's necessary, because I can lock in. For lack of a better term, lock in. But that can look like when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. I'm not with my family thinking, I've got to get to that edit as soon as I get home. So I'm half with my family, but mentally I'm also starting the edit in my office. Or I'm editing thinking, I've got to work out later on, and what am I going to do for my workout? And then after I work out, I'm not there. If I can just deeply focus and have a narrow focus on when I'm there, I feel like that's the missing piece for me. Because then it's high quality. It's super high quality, highly productive, less time. And then each portion gets the attention it deserves, as opposed to being spread too thinly and your energy's leaking across all of these open tabs and nothing's really getting the full attention. That's how it feels for me.
So being present, that's a skill that I know I need to work on to do exactly as you just said there. To be there and to be able to focus on the task at hand, to then further enjoy the other things that I'm doing in my life. So how do you plan to embrace that? How do you plan to be more present when you're sitting in front of work or when you're sitting in front of family, etc.?
I like to do little tasks, not tasks, like challenges for myself. And we've spoken about this before, the idea of like a no multitasking month. So like 30 days, no multitasking. And so that's the extreme version that helps me reset when I feel things getting away on me a little bit. When I'm listening to a podcast whilst having a shower and then also thinking about work and trying to have a conversation with Jesse. All right, that's multitasking to the extreme. None of it's getting attention. So if I can peel everything back to its most minimal form, I'm having a podcast with you. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating food. That's what I'm doing. I'm not eating food and listening to and watching YouTube. I'm watching YouTube. Or I'm driving to Sydney. I'm not driving to Sydney and making phone calls. I'm not driving to Sydney and listening to music. So this is the extreme version. It's like one thing we're doing. I'm having a shower. I'm reading. I'm with my family. That is the ultimate reset for me. So it's almost just keeping your word to yourself and committing. And this is, again, the skill that I need to continually develop, because constantly just under attack from different tasks to be done and different ways to do them, is going, I am going to spend 1 hour editing this thing. No, I'll get up and make a quick protein shake and then I'll come back and no. I'm here and I'm committed and I'm staying. Now I'm going to go make lunch. I'm here, committed, and I'm staying. Now I'm going to do this thing. I'm here, committed, I'm staying. It's almost just like compartmentalizing and breaking up every section. And then it's just a matter of doing what you say. And it's addictions. All of these are like micro addictions. So it's easier said than done. But it's like, at the end of the day, can I sit in silence for 10 minutes or not? If I can't, that's a real problem. It's a real problem. I'm highly addicted if I can't do what I want to do, even in the smallest forms, which is I'm going to read 10 pages. It'll take me 5 minutes. Can I do that? As a 31-year-old man who thinks highly of himself, can I do that? If I can't, we've got some real problems. So that's what spurs me to just go, this is what I need to do, just do it. Just do it. Like Nike, just do it. Say what you want to do and just do it.
I found that to be really valuable when I came to the sprint finish of the book. I'd found that it was hard to get in a flow with writing sometimes. And it's because I was often trying to listen to music while I wrote, because I'm like, oh, maybe that'll make it more enjoyable. Or I'm like, I'll go sit out in the sun and write because maybe I feel better out in the fresh air. When I got serious and I was like, I got a deadline to meet. And I literally just sat in front of a white wall in my office at home and punched away at the keys on the laptop. All of a sudden I was like, I got a lot done today.
Yeah.
I didn't try to do anything else. I just sat in front of that laptop and I just typed away. And the little hacks of like setting up the laptop and my workstation properly so that like my posture felt good, having water there, having a coffee just before I started, those things helped. But the simplicity of, one task at one time is something I really struggle with. There's so much resistance for me. And it's just because our lives are these we've become convenient multitasking machines that achieve little but feel like we're doing a lot.
And that's why I love the quote, which is basically universally, it's simple, doesn't mean it's easy, but it is simple.
Yeah.
You want to lose weight, more calories out than calories in. You want to get to bed early, hop in bed in a supine position with the lights off at the time.
Yeah.
You want to, whatever it is, we know it's simple, but it's not easy. So, yeah.
Let me play a little trivia with you here. Well, not trivia, but a few quick fires that I think would be fun. Something you've learnt lately.
Something I've learnt lately is that it's like a people-pleasing one. Something I've learnt lately is that it's okay to take what's yours. It's kind of cryptic, but I've gone through a partnership dissolve. I've recently gone through, the separation of a business model. And every part of the people-pleaser in me wanted to make sure that, oh, no, it's okay. I'll just get, no, don't worry about it. No, you can take what's yours. And that's okay. And if it's inconvenient for someone else, that's okay. So something I've learned lately is that it's okay to take what's yours.
Yeah, I like that. Something that's changed for you lately in terms of a belief or a way that you see something?
Something that's changed for me lately. It's the obvious is that business has changed for me lately. I've got it written on my board in my office. The future is yours. Just make it happen. So when I'm no longer in a partnership in business and the complete reliance on my success is again now up to me, the change and the reminder and the belief, the future is yours. Make it happen. Show yourself that you can do it and you are who you think you are. So the shift and the belief and the thing that makes me excited is it's on me. It's on me. It's mine to make it happen. And there's nothing saying I can't. There's nothing saying I can't. It's simple, but it's not easy. Make it happen.
I love that. One last one for you. What evolution do you need to make to bring that change, that future into light?
Executing on the things that I say. So we're now rebranding. I need to launch the brand. I need to create the website. Create the website. I need to tell clients about the website. Told clients about the website. I need to create awareness about the new brand. Social media content. Need to execute on it. What does that plan look like? Not sure. Need to create a plan. Execute on the plan. Do the things that you know will actively take you where you need to be. So the evolution that needs to happen for me is I need to do what I say needs to be done.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Some beautiful simplicity.
Those
there.
rapid fires are fun.
Yeah, you know, they're questions that I think...
I want to have some for you.
All right, go.
Haven't planned though, but I'll just freestyle them.
Yeah, let's freestyle. That's what I was doing.
What's your favourite moment of the year thus far?
Oh, the wedding, for sure. That goes without saying. I'll say if I'm going to isolate it to a specific moment, there was a moment immediately after the ceremony where Soph and I just stood there and looked at each other for a couple of minutes and just embraced that, and it felt like, yeah, we just got here and we got to enjoy that together. And it was a couple of minutes of just us, and I look back at that and that was a really special moment.
Nice. What's the thing you're most afraid of right now?
Investing in myself. I feel that going to be some amazing opportunities in the next 12 months. And as I mentioned before, with so much to lose because I have so many good things in my life, I have to learn to invest and back me again, because ultimately if I don't, some of those opportunities will pass me by. It could be the difference between enjoying a moderate success off the back of things like the book launching and it launching a whole new chapter of our lives together, where, you know, I get to go do what I really, really want to do.
Cool. Last one. You've only got one I love you token. Who are you? Look down that camera and tell them that you love them. One token. You've got too much love to give, brother. I know you got. It could be mum, it could be dad, it could be sis, it could be Soph, it could be Nan.
Do you
got one token.
This is just someone who I feel like needs it?
However you want to take it, brother. You got one token to give. And then we're going to clip this and send it to them, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So don't be insecure if you're like, oh, is that bloke from school that haven't spoken to a while? Tell him you love him, we'll send it to him. Or it's that client that, whatever. You take it. You got one I love you token.
Well, everyone in my life knows that I love them very much. But I say to my mum right now, I love you so much, because you deserve to hear it right now.
Beautiful.
That was fun, brother.
Cool.
That was really nice.